So let's all place our hands on our heart.
Mhm.
Be aware of your heart. Be aware of the love in your heart, the softness, the sweetness, the tenderness and joy, like all the beautiful feelings within the heart. And be aware of your crown on top of your head. Be aware of the spiritual connection you have to God, to your spiritual teacher, to your higher self. And to strengthen the energy even more, we be aware of our heart and our crown simultaneously. Love of God and love of all. And you can silently follow along. Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, whoever you're spiritually connected to my spiritual teacher, Grandmaster Joel Koksui, to his spiritual teacher, Lord Bodhisattva Meiling, to all the great, great ones, holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, the angels of love, the angels of intimacy, sex, romance, sweetness, and joy. To our divine selves, our higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your help, guidance, and protection. We ask for greater awareness and understanding of love on all levels, from all facets. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. With gratitude, respect, and love, so be it. Thank you.
What happened when well, this couple was very in love. They have so much passion in the relationship. They got married, and the children arrived, so they have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And everything changed for the mother, because the main object or the main person in their life right now is not the partner, not at all. It's the baby. So everything changes. How can we build a loving connection now with this man that would be also a little strange right now, because everything is a baby? Have you been real, how you know these kind of situations, maybe
Yes,
like your clients?
it's relatively common. You get married, you have a baby, and then the sexual drive and the
Yes.
intimacy and the fun and the
Slow
playfulness
down
gets redirected to the baby.
completely.
So on one level, there's depletion of energy, because it takes a lot of energy to raise a child for both the husband and the wife, right? And then there's less playfulness going back and forth between the couples. So it's a conscious effort of feeding each other, which goes back to the heart chakra. So feeding the other person with love, feeding the other person with intimacy, making sure everyone's taken care of and their emotional needs are being met. It's not impossible. It just requires more consciousness. So going back to the point about the chakras, the sex, the heart, and the crown, when we think of somebody and when we feel of somebody, there's an energetic cord going from one area of the person's energy body to the other area. So when you're sexually connected to someone, there's a cord from your sex to their sex, from their sex to your sex. And now there's energy going back and forth. The reason sexual desire goes down, or the reason loving energy goes down, or the reason spiritual connection goes down, is those cords start to deteriorate, or those are filled with dirty, disease, congested energy. So in the case of a husband and wife that have children, those cords aren't getting fed as often. So you clean the cords. So you hire an energy healer like myself or like you or other people who are in this world. So you clean those cords, you energize those cords, and then the intimacy will be back.
That would be great, especially for my friends who has children. We talk a lot about this experience, and they said, I can't think to have intimacy with my partner because I'm always thinking in my children. My children became everything for me right now, and they don't have intimacy, and of course it affects the relationship, even if they love each other, of course. But when there is no playful games, when there is no patient stuff, everything may
Correct.
different.
So those chakras are very important to keep clean, to keep the connection clean, to keep it energized. Um, and that will ensure a loving, harmonious, intimate, expansive, spiritual relationship.
Can I be a good lover regardless the other person? For example, can I consider myself a good lover with many men? No, I don't want to put my example, but the deep connection with another person depends in just one person. Do you understand? Or we need a deep connection from both of them?
Okay, good question. If you're an amazing dancer and your dancer is not very good, how good is the dance routine going to be?
Not so good.
Not so good, right? So it would be the same thing of you have to work on creating harmony and intimacy with the other person. So some people, good dance partners right off the bat.
Nice.
Other people, not so good dance partners. So you have to put in what? More time, more energy, more awareness, more understanding, more patience, more tolerance. And maybe that could be the best dance partner imaginable, right?
Yeah,
Maybe, right? So that's actually a very good question about chemistry. So I want to cover that one step below.
please.
Because I know a lot of us go from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. And we start to realize the pattern after the fifth relationship, but the pattern was there the first and second relationship. Meaning, if you want to have a deeply loving, committed relationship with a partner, you have to have let go of the connections and ties you have to your other partner or partners, right? So how to do that is when you separate from somebody, and it was interesting you said in the message to me, how do you let go of a loving relationship? And I go, well, if it's a loving relationship, why would you let go of it, right?
Yes, why?
Right? That doesn't make sense. But if the relationship was loving and you realize it's time to separate for whatever reason, what you do is you have to separate by forgiving yourself for any mistakes that were made in the relationship, by forgiving the other person for any mistakes that they made in their end of the relationship, by being grateful for the lessons that were learned in the relationship and grateful for that person, and then practicing and then pulling out one or two or three nuggets that you got from being in that relationship, and then you let go and you heal and you move forward. But what most people do, they're in an unhealthy relationship, they get out of it in very unhealthy ways. They're full of anger, anxiety, trauma, stress, and then they go to a club, they go to a bar, they go to a yoga class, and they meet somebody without doing the healing of this previous relationship and letting it go. And then guess what? Same pattern produces again and again and again and again and again and again. So the person can't move forward properly. They're not learning their lesson. So, and I was a product of that. I did that, kept making mistake. I wouldn't give myself space and time to let go, to forgive, to practice gratitude, to heal, and then be ready for the right partner.
And to think and to have the awareness. And I can understand that because before understanding or thinking that we have energy, we're energy, I just continue different relationship and didn't think in my lessons, in my learnings, and I haven't experienced the gratitude to that person. And yes, usually people keep going their flowing life, and they don't give them the chance to forgive, to forget, to think, or to know where is the resentment, if there is any resentment.
And typically, how often do people think about this in your own life and the lives of your friends and people you've connected with over the years? How many people have you met that they're ending a relationship and they're like this? Yeah, it's fine. we've decided to go in different directions. How often do you see that versus I cannot believe so and so did blah 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 blah,
Yes,
right?
that, and they even look for their profile. They are stuck in that
Correct.
person. They don't let
Mhm.
go.
Right. So then they make the same mistake. So this goes to the next point, that this nugget from a friend and a mentor of mine was one of the most profound nuggets I've ever had the opportunity to understand and then to experience directly. So about a year and a half ago, I had the exposure of the yin and the yang energies, the feminine and the masculine
Yes.
energies. And it was interesting because what I realized was through this working with my mentor and friend is that most of us, men and women, lack yin energy, feminine, they lack the form, and then they have a dysfunctional relationship with the yang energy. So it's not that we're seeking yin and yang, we're actually both seeking yin, which is what? The form of being provided for, being loved, being nurtured, being nourished. We're looking for that in the other person. So both people are looking to take in the relationship versus to give and take in the relationship. So what I realized, which was a huge healing moment for me, is that if I can balance the yin and the yang energies within myself, I am whole and complete. So now when I connect with somebody, it's not what can I take from you? It's I have so much love to give. I have so much joy to give. I have so much sweetness to give. And I'm looking for an opportunity to share that with another person. Who can I take advantage of? I feel empty, lonely, sad, bitter, hurt. I need somebody to fill that vacuum.
No.
That's why a lot of relationships don't work. So the goal, you balance your yin and your yang,
Yes.
you love yourself and love others, and then you will attract a partner who has similar energies. So you complement each other versus taking from each other.
That makes me remember the praying of Saint Francis, the last part, where he says, "Oh God, grant me that I look for to hear and not to be, to heal and not to be healed, or to forgive and not to be forgiven." Could you explain more of this, please?
So in the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, for those of you that are listening for the first time of that prayer, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Wherever there is hatred, let me sow love. Wherever there is injury, pardon. Wherever there is despair, hope, doubt, faith, darkness, light, sadness, joy. O divine master, grant that I may not so much seek to console as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. For it is in the giving that we receive, it is in the pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in the dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. So the middle of that stanza is seek to console versus being consoled.
Yes.
Seek to understand versus being understood. So our world, which is funny because I made the point of this at the end, our world is so focused on what can I get. The reason we are always focusing on what we can get is because we feel empty. We feel depleted. We feel exhausted. So we're like, please, could somebody just give me something so I can build self-esteem, my self-image, my self-worth, versus how can I go within? How can I reflect and heal? And then how can I be of service to other people? And as you do that, your energy expands, your energy heals, and you become a bright, bright light for other people. So Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, said, to love is to understand, and to understand is to love. So just like we said, you don't know yourself entirely, but you've been with yourself the whole incarnation. So you don't know your partner entirely. So as you understand your partner, why they think the way they think, why they speak the way they speak, why they do the things that they do, you start to have love and compassion and mercy, and you're able to show up for them in a much, much better way. And then you build depth with that person versus, oh, you said something that irritated me. That's it. We're done. We're through. We're over. Forget it. I'm out. Right? Where's the patience in that? Where's the tolerance in that? It's easy to do this. This requires no ability. You date somebody, they upset you, and you're done. That doesn't mean you're great. That doesn't mean you're developed. It doesn't mean you see higher levels of truth. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means you're impatient, intolerant, lack understanding, lack compassion. Those are the things
Oh
that
my
it
God,
shows,
I am feeling attacked.
right?
No,
So,
no. I said that because the question of before, we were discussing, we were talking about when we know that it's the moment to end the relationship,
right.
and sometimes it's difficult to know that, because okay, do I have to keep being patient, to keep being loving, to keep understanding, or do I have to say just let go?
So the three things, I gave this to a client a few months ago. The three things that you have to do before ending a relationship. So everyone get out their pen and pad, right? Is you have to heal that person. So if you know energy healing, then you practice energy healing. If you don't, then you hire somebody who can do energy healing. So you heal that person regularly. You bless that person. So like we talked about in the prayer of St. Francis, you imagine the person in front of you and you just bless them with love. That's it. Nothing super complicated. You just bless them with love. You be aware of your heart, be aware of your crown, and you bless them with lots of love. You see them bright, happy, healthy, shiny, glowy. And then you also, third thing, you be an example. You be an example. So if you want that person to be loving, you be loving first. If you want that person to be sexy and sensual and amazing in bed, then you be that first, right? Seek to console, then being consoled. Seek to understand, then being understood. Seek to love rather than be loved, right? So you do the thing first. Then, over a period of time, not overnight, but over a period of time, you can go, all right, I've been doing this for 6 months. They've been getting healing regularly. I've been blessing them regularly. I've been showing up in a kind, loving way, the way that I want them to show up in the relationship, and nothing has changed. Now I have clarity. Now I have understanding. Now I can let go. Right?
Wow.
But if you don't have clarity, you don't have an understanding, you don't have awareness,
You don't
you
know.
won't know. You're like, should I stay? Should I go? Huh?
Yes.
So the point is the inner work first, give the relationship a chance, right? And then after months of doing the right thing, you'll have clarity. You'll go, you know what? This is a person I want to stay with. This is a person that I can build a life with. Or, no way, Jose, I'm out.
That makes me remember that in some very religious tradition, couples like to pray together, or they like to pray with family together. And I think that praying is also a way to heal, a way to have a clean energy body. And I know that even couples that pray together, they split out, but the broken process wasn't so dramatic. It was
Correct.
interesting for me to realize that. And they don't have a energy approach, but they have the devotion approach, I think.
It still works. It still
Yeah.
works. There still is an energetic component, even though they may not be consciously working with energy, right? So the point that you brought up a minute ago about multiple partners, I've had multiple partners in many, many ways. You name it, I've done it with the multiple partners thing. I don't recommend it. And the reason I don't recommend it is if you're looking for depth, which I'm guessing most people listening to this are seeking depth, right? If you're seeking depth and you're combining your energies, your sexual energies, your emotional energies, your mental energies, and your spiritual energies with another person, you're diluting the depth that you can have with another person. So I don't recommend it. And I don't know of anybody, I know of many couples that tried it that said, hey, let's open up our relationship or let's sleep with multiple people, men, women, doesn't matter. And every case that I'm aware of, it has not worked. And then a clinical psychologist that I follow on YouTube, Jordan Peterson, he says in his 30 years of coaching couples, talking about open relationships, he has not seen it work once, not one time, of thousands and thousands of people that he's worked with over the past 30 years. So does that mean that it doesn't work? Does that mean that you might be the exception? It's possible, but do you want to be the exception, or do you want to understand the underlying laws that apply to most everybody and follow those laws, right? You could always be the exception, but why put yourself through unnecessary suffering? I was the exception. I thought I could beat the system. I thought I could figure it out and have multiple partners with no chaos, with no drama, with no hurt feelings. And I'm doing good things. Like, I'm not intentionally trying to hurt anyone. I'm not intentionally lying to anyone. I'm not intentionally trying to be aggressive in certain ways. Even me, I couldn't make it work.
Okay. Well, dear Mr. Long, Christian, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your intelligence, for your words and your knowledge.
All credit to my teacher, Master Choa.
Yes. I am deeply grateful, and I hope this video would inspire many persons to be more loving and more caring, to know each other and to love their partners. Muchísimas, thank you so much, Christian Long. Gracias a Palabras Felices, nos vemos pronto.
Adiós.
Adiós.